we are looking at a very interesting topic for tonight, which is not a lesson that has passed, but however, we want to visit it. And this is the topic that is the commander of the army of the Lord. So I'm gonna put it up here in here, and we want to open up our Bibles to the book of Joshua, chapter 5. Okay. And this is lesson 4. Just to have as a reference, Joshua 10:14 has been no day like it before or since, when the Lord heeded the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. And so we go to Joshua 5:13 through 15. And as a way of a context, we have that the Israelites had already passed the Jordan. And very interesting, I was looking at this morning. Chapter 4, verse 9 tells us that, I'm going to go ahead and read here. Joshua also gathered 12 stones in the midst of the Jordan, in the place where the feet of the priests were, whom carried the Ark of the Covenant, and they have been there until today. And I was wondering about that, and I prayed for this, and I prayed that these stones would be found, because it really caught my attention that it would say that, and that I haven't searched for this, but I wonder if there has been any search party going out to the Jordan to look for these 12 stones that have been, according to this verse, left there where the feet of the priest had the ark. This is something to just wanted to share that. And so they are at Gilgal, this place that means that as it says here, the trouble of Egypt, verse 9, chapter 5, verse 9, has been taken off from the Israelites by the Lord. So that's why the name Gilgal. So they are there, and they celebrate two things: circumcision and Passover at Gilgal. And they had not had the circumcision since 40 years ago. So such has been the trouble, the displeasing of the Lord unto for the Israelites. So now they again recover the goodwill, if you will, of the Lord, as they celebrate Passover and come back to practicing circumcision at Gilgal. So that is the context that we have, as they have already passed the Jordan and are there at Gilgal. So then we enter into our story for today, which is found in chapter 5, verse 13 and onward. So this is a short story, verses 13 through 15. So let's go ahead and read that. I have here opened up. This is from the North American Standard Version. Let me see. I'm going to look it up in the New King James Version. Okay. And it came to pass, when Joshua was by Jericho, that he lifted his eyes and looked, and behold, a man stood opposite him with his sword drawn in his hand. And Joshua went to him and said to him, Are you for us or for our adversaries? So he said, No, but as a commander of the army of the Lord I have now come. And Joshua fell on his face to the earth and worshipped, and said to him, What does my Lord say to his servant? Then the commander of the Lord's army said to Joshua, Take your sandal off your foot, for the place where you stand is holy. And Joshua did so. That is the story that we have. Very, very insightful, as we see that Joshua is prostrating, he is kneeling down and worshiping this being who calls himself commander of the army of the Lord. And so he calls the Lord by a pronoun that does not signify himself. He is the commander of the army of the Lord. And this commander is also asking Joshua to take off his sandals off his feet, because of the place where he's at is holy ground. Now let's see what the spirit of prophecy has to share with us in regards to this story. So I'm going to see if we can find that in Patriarchs and Prophets. I have this right here with me. I'm hoping we can find this story. I'm thinking it will be there in Patriarchs and Prophets. So we have here the fall of Jericho. And yes, it is here. Okay, so I'm looking for the specific here it is. Okay. Something briefly here before I start reading it.
You're
Okay.
reading Patriarchs and Prophets?
Yes, this is chapter 45. It's titled The Fall of Jericho. And there were also some other verses that I wanted to look at that have to do with here we go, right? Okay, well, I don't see it here, but something that I wanted to see. There was a mention of the book of Habakkuk it was brought out for the book of Joshua. I just wanted to find that reference, but that's okay because we're looking at this now. So
it's right in the third. Let me see, third. In the third paragraph.
Oh yeah.
The text that we just read. Are you for us or are you for our adversary?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Look at Patriarchs and Prophets. Just below.
Yeah, I know. I see it, but looking for a different reference. But yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and start from here, from the beginning of the chapter, because it's only a few paragraphs, even two.
Okay.
Okay, so it reads: The Hebrews had entered Canaan, but they had not subdued it, and to human appearance, the struggle to gain possession of the land must be long and difficult. It was inhabited by a powerful race who stood ready to oppose the invasion of their territory. The various tribes were bound together by the fear of a common danger. Their horses and iron battle chariots. The word chariots and horses, aren't they the same? Oh, chariots is right. It's the thing that goes behind the horses. Okay. Their knowledge of the country and their training in war would give them great advantage. Furthermore, the country was guarded by fortresses, open quote, cities great and fenced up to heaven, close quote, Deuteronomy 9:1. And I wonder if Deuteronomy 9:1 is what a part of the speeches of the first spies that were sent. I think there were 12, in which Joshua and Caleb were found, but they had a good report, a positive report, a faithful a report of faith and faithful report to God. Only in the assurance of a strength not their own could the Israelites hope for success in the impending conflict. And that is an important lesson too that we have, because when you see the type of report that is sent by the two spies that had the encounter with, or that encountered Rahab, you notice that it reads in chapter 2 of Joshua, verse 24, and they said to Joshua, Jehovah has given us the whole land in our hands, and also all of the dwellers of the country dismay before us. So just in that one verse, we find such a different change from 40 years back. One of the strongest, I go back to the reading, second paragraph. One of the strongest fortresses in the land, the large and wealthy city of Jericho, lay just before them, but a little distance from their camp at Gilgal. On the border of a fertile plain, abounding with the rich and varied productions of the tropics, its palaces and temples, the abode of luxury and vice, this proud city, behind its massive battlements, offered defiance to the God of Israel. Jericho was one of the principal seats of idol worship, being especially devoted to Ashtaroth. So we see here that it's called one of the principal seats of idol worship. And I am wondering if Ashtaroth, oh, here it is. It gives us a little bit more. The goddess of the moon. If that has to do with the story that Pastor and I was sharing to us in regards to Tammuz, and you have got the god of the sun, Nimrod, and then the moon. So the Ashtaroth, I think it is Ashtaroth there, then being taken as Mary in the Catholic Church, if I'm not mistaken, there. Or if I remember correctly, I want to say. Here centered all that was vilest and most degrading in the religion of the Canaanites. So now we notice here that the first to be encountered was that of the vilest and most degrading in the religion of the Canaanites. The people of Israel, in whose minds were fresh the fearful results of their sin at Beth Peor, could look upon this heathen city only with disgust and horror. So what had happened at Beth Peor is that when they had the situation of the Moabites, the women, I believe so. So we remember Balaam and the sad results of what had happened to the Israelites that had given into the sin of fornication and idol worship, because they followed false prophets and also gave themselves to the communion with women and to wine drinking. So there they fell to the sword and to the displeasement of God, which is also mentioned in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, not to take their example, which is even at the door of Canaan, the Canaan, the promised land. So could look upon this hidden city only with disgust and horror, such as being the result of discipline to hate sin. So we need that disgust and horror against sin nowadays for it to grow. Okay? And so we enter, as Sister Betty mentioned, to this section of this encounter of Joshua and this commander of the host, of the Lord's host. To reduce Jericho was seen by Joshua to be the first step in the conquest of Canaan. But first of all, he sought an assurance of divine guidance, and it was granted him. And we remember that it is an after story of the Gibeonites coming forth, Joshua chapter 8. So here we see a very good first step, that Joshua is asking for divine guidance. And it says here he sought an assurance. So he had guidance, but he was seeking for assurance of divine guidance. And it was granted him. Withdrawing from the encampment to meditate and to pray that the God of Israel would go before his people, he beheld an armed warrior of lofty stature and commanding presence, with his sword drawn in his hand. To Joshua's challenge, art thou for us or for our adversaries? So we notice here that because he's asking, are you for us? He's seen the possibility that it might be an angel, right? How else could it be someone for them? Maybe somebody from Melchizedek's line? I don't know. But the answer was given, as captain of the host of the Lord am I now come. The same command given to Moses in Horeb, loose thy shoe from off thy foot, for the place whereon thou standest is holy, revealed the true character of the mysterious stranger. It was Christ, the exalted one, who stood before the leader of Israel. Awe-stricken, Joshua fell upon his face and worshipped, and heard the assurance, I have given into thine hand Jericho, and the king thereof, and the mighty men of valor. And he received instruction for the capture of the city. So we see then that this strategy that he had of surrounding the city 13 times, the last day being 7 times, that he had success. Here we comment a little bit about reverence. We see that Joshua is asked to remove the sandals of his feet. So that teaches us about reverence. And also, there is a section I want to say as well that I would like to be referenced, and that is applauding in the sanctuary. Now, that is in the Spirit of Prophecy and in White's writings. I haven't gotten to it, but it would be something insightful for us to learn, as to keep the correct relationship of expression and reverence. In obedience to the divine command, Joshua marshaled the armies of Israel. No assault was to be made. And so forth, the reading continues. And we want to highlight here this phrase, that it was Christ, the exalted one, who stood the leader of Israel. So he had come as an answer to what? Joshua seeking assurance of divine guidance. So he went both to meditate and to pray. So before he faced this such a important task of overcoming the center of sin, which was Jericho. I did not know that was the center of it, of idol worship. And interesting too that it is Astaroth. Now, if we are correct in regards to Astaroth now being the modern day Mary in heaven, interceding for the people, the people that believe, right? That teaches us today that as the message of Revelation chapter 13 is to go forth to say Babylon is filled with demons, then it is the same. It is as an attack of back then Joshua fighting against Jericho, as fighting, spiritually speaking, to the blasphemy of a supposed Mary interceding for mankind, when the Bible tells us that there is only one mediator between man and God, and that is Jesus Christ, the man. So very interesting analogy that we can find there in this story. Now we go to the lesson, which we have Joshua 5:13 through 15, and here it gives us a comparison. Compare chapter 5 verse 14 and 15 with 2 Kings chapter 6 8 through 17, Nehemiah 9:6, and Isaiah 37:16. What do these texts say or teach in regards to the identity of Joshua? And I think it's rather wanting to reference, or we want to see more what it tells us about the the commander of the army of the Lord. So we have 2 Kings. So that's a very interesting other references that we have here and that we will learn about in 2 Kings, Nehemiah, and Isaiah. So let's go ahead and open the Bible to those sections. 2 Kings chapter 8 chapter 6 verse 8 through 17. And let's find out. And why also this is important, friends, is because I've had experience when someone tells me that Christ is a creature, that he's created by God the Father, that he has a beginning. And so here in this story, we see how that is proven to be false, because Joshua is worshiping this being, commander of the army of the Lord then being God the Father, and the commander then being Jesus Christ. So if we say that we can worship a creature, then we are giving room to the devil to also have a right to the great controversy in which he would ask to be worshipped. Notice that the great controversy in Revelation chapter 13 is in regards to worship, because it says there, and let's open the Bible to Revelation chapter 13 before we enter into Second Kings. Revelation chapter 13, we see that it has to do with worship, this great controversy. So how important it is to believe that Christ has no beginning, as it says there in Micah, which that is not the center of our study yet, but it could be, as the Holy Spirit leads us. Chapter 13 of Revelation, we find, I think, rather 14. Yeah, actually 14. So let's go to the three angels' messages. Chapter 14, verse 9. And the third angel followed, saying with a great voice, if anyone would worship, there we have a key word, the beast and his image, then, or her image. Then we jump to we want to find the word worship to reference to the Lord. We're talking about in verse 7, we have saying with a great voice, fear God and give glory to him, because the hour of his judgment has come. So we are fearing, we're giving him glory, the hour of his judgment has come. And worship, there we go, we have right there too, and worship him who made, there we have the feature, the characteristic of God. Why do we worship him? Because he is not a creature, he is a creator who made heaven and earth, the sea, and the fountains of waters. So there we see the difference, or I want to say rather, there we see the reason of why we are worshiping God. And also this is found in the worship where we that is found in chapters 4 and 5, the worship towards the throne of God. And we recall the verses saying that we worship him who his will is that we exist. In other words, he is our creator. Now I'm going to look for that verse that we may also reference, because it's also important to reference the worship. Okay, so we have the reference to redemption in chapter 5, verse 9 and onward. But before that, chapter 4, verse 11. Lord, you are worthy to receive glory and honor and power, because you created all things, and because of your will they exist and were created. So there we have a worship phrase, a worship a verse of worship to God, as the reason being that he is the creator and he sustains all things. So that being said, then this being found in Joshua chapter 5 is none other than Jesus Christ, who is also the creator, as John 1 tells us, who has no beginning. His beginnings are, or his coming forth is from everlasting. We find that in the Old Testament. And so his worship, the reason of worshiping is you can only worship, I want to say, as the Bible teaches us, you can only worship a creator, not the created. So then the devil has no grounds to ask to be worshipped. And so anyone that worships the beast or his image, or the image of the beast, then is worshiping the devil, whose claim to be worshipped is but false and selfish and evil. He's stealing the worship due to God alone. Now we said we want to go to 2 Kings. I'm looking at the time too. 2 Kings chapter 6, verses 8 through 17. So what is this story about? Chapter 6, we're talking about Elisha. Verse 8 through 17, Elisha and the Syrians. So we have even more verses. It is referencing quite a few verses, 8 through 17. So if you can help me out here to find what verse could reference to the host, the commander of the host of the Lord. So we begin then. I'm going to open it up here in the subschool lesson. And we have it as New King. Okay, so we'll quickly read this and look for that phrase. Now the king of Syria was making war against Israel, and he consulted with his servants, saying, "My camp will be in such and such a place." And the men of God sent to the king of Israel, saying, "Beware that you do not pass this place, for the Syrians are coming down there." Then the king of Israel sent someone to the place of which the men of God had told him. Thus he warned him, and he was watchful there, not just once or twice. Therefore the heart of the king of Syria was greatly troubled by this thing, and he called his servants and said to them, "Will you not show me which of us is for the king of Israel?" And one of his servants said, "None, my lord, O king, but Elisha, the prophet who is in Israel, tells the king of Israel the words that you speak in your bedroom." So he said, "Go and see where he is, that I may send and get him." And it was told him, saying, "Surely he is in Dothan." Therefore he sent horses and chariots and a great army there, and they came by night and surrounded the city. And when the servant of the men of God arose early and went out, there was an army surrounding the city with horses and chariots. And his servant said to him, "Alas, my master, what shall we do?" So he answered, "Do not fear, for those who are with us are more than those who are with them." And Elisha prayed and said, "Lord, I pray, open his eyes that he may see." Then the Lord opened the eyes of the young man, and he saw. And behold, the mountain was full of horses and chariots of fire all around Elisha. So that was the reference of 2 Kings, and we go to Nehemiah 9:6. "You alone are the Lord. You have made heaven, the heaven of heavens, with all their host, the earth and everything on it, the seas and all that is in them, and you preserve them all. The host of heaven worships you." And Isaiah 37:16. "O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, the one who dwells between the cherubim, you are God." So right here, we see a reference to the Lord of hosts, God of Israel, the one who dwells between the cherubim. And then we continue reading, "You alone of all the kingdoms of the earth are God. You have made heaven and earth." That's Isaiah 37:16. So we'll read then as we are concluding now, wrapping up this section here of the lesson. I'm going to read it here from the phone. While the expression "commander of the army of the Lord" is unique in the Hebrew Bible, the combination of the terms commander and hosts always refers to a military leader. The word host in Scripture can refer to military troops, to the angels, or to celestial bodies. The pre-incarnate Christ appears to Joshua not merely as an ally, nor even as the true commander of Israel's army, but as the commander of the unseen yet real army of angels involved in a far greater conflict than that of Joshua with the Canaanites. Joshua's answer clearly indicates his understanding of the commander's identity. He is equal to God, and Joshua falls prostrate in front of him as a sign of profound respect and worship. There mentioned Genesis 17:3, 2 Samuel 9:6, 2 Chronicles 20:18. Joshua is ready to receive the battle strategy for a military campaign that is an intrinsic part of a far greater conflict in which the God of hosts himself is involved. So what is that greater conflict but the great controversy? And we have a final question here from the lesson. What comfort can and should we draw from knowing that the commander of the army of the Lord is at work in defense of his people? Praise God for that. And we have just one sentence here. The word host in scripture can refer to military troops, to the angels, or to celestial bodies. Okay. And such has then been our study. I see Sister Kelly with us. I was out looking at the South School lesson. And I do see a lot of text here. Okay, thank you for the text. So has been our study here, and I want to open it up for comments. If anyone has any comments in regards to the lesson that we have been studying. Again, this is going with permission to online, as I understand, live. So would anyone have any comment? A very insightful lesson that we looked at for this. No.
Thank you for bringing this out, Brother Lucas, and making reference to spirit of prophecy, because in studying the lesson, I was not really clear on the questions that it was asking and the answers that it was looking for. And reading the paragraphs down below, I wasn't really sure about it, but in referring to spirit of prophecy and prophets and kings, it makes it crystal clear. And when it talked about, I didn't realize that Joshua went through the Jordan on dry land, and I didn't realize that Joshua, that the Lord told Joshua to take his shoes off too, because the ground that you're standing on is holy ground. The only way it could be holy is if the presence of God was there. Otherwise, an angel can't say the ground is holy because I'm here, because he's a created being. But the Creator is the only one who could say that. And so it made it crystal clear that God was with Joshua, that Jesus was the commander, was God's commander of the host of the armies of heaven. And I just appreciate you bringing that out. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Sister Betty. Appreciate your comment. Praise the Lord.
Amen.
Anyone else? Okay. Bring something to my brother here. Oh, yes, Brother Joshua. I'm going to read your comment. I like very much how Joshua was told, get off your sandals. Yes. And meaning got off your way, compared to Romans when it says sandals like gospel. So Romans Are you referring to the verse, "Blessed are the feet that spread the gospel"? Okay, so contrasting it to Joshua, so meaning "God off your way," like okay. Do you want to elaborate a little bit more, brother? I see. Sure. It means, Romans says, gospel of sandals. So I do see the okay, let's see, meaning like symbol, put away the self soul in front of God. Oh, I see. Oh, I understand what you're saying, brother. Okay, very interesting. Wow, thanks for sharing. So, what I'm understanding that you're saying, comparing Isaiah, I'm just gonna keep reading until comparing Isaiah. It says about Sabbath, put away the foot. Okay, foot means well. Yes, yes. Thank you. Wow, very insightful. Because I was asking. Yes, beautiful. I was asking myself, why would taking off the sandals be a sign of being reverent and worship? And as Brother Joshua here helps us out, um, uh, I'm smiling because Joshua has the same title as as the book, but that the reference to sandals can be a reference to the person as themselves. So we have heard before the saying of self as when we want to approach God, we need to crucify self, or we need to forget self or put away self. So because sandals can mean self in Romans and also in Isaiah. In Romans, when blessed are the feet that present the gospel, and in Isaiah, put away your foot from doing your will on the Sabbath. Then we can see there as a way of a symbol that putting away the sandals could mean putting away self. Yes, thank you for sharing that, Brother Joshua. That was great. Okay. Thank God. Amen. May God bless us, each one of us. So we can we haven't opened it up for prayer requests. So I don't know also if there's any testimony. Sister Kelly, I see you online. So Brother Joshua, I think we can end the recording. Thank you, brother. And so we can so Sister Kelly, do you want me to lead out for the prayer request?
Yep. You finish leading out.